We do know that Kris Jones and LBU here to stay one way or another. LBU's not going anywhere. Glenn Schumann picks up another one. The shoe has dropped. Tell us about Kris Jones, Mountain Jake.
Yeah, you got to really like what this pickup brings for you, man. Another top 150 player, number 10 linebacker, I believe, in this class, and really good-sized kid, man, 6'2", 215, and moves really well at that size. Plays in Fairfax, Virginia, decent-sized school there as well. And I think what you really got to like about this is the job that Georgia did recruiting this kid. You go look at his visit list, man. This kid should be going to Penn State if we're following that old adage of follow the visits. I mean, he should be headed for somewhere in his mid-Atlantic area or Florida, perhaps. But he told Chad Simmons things really switched up after that official visit to Georgia, and it certainly seems that was the case. That was the buzz that we were getting as well. But yeah, great pickup for him. I think that he's a guy who fits well within the mold. It's like we talked about, I think, with Justin Williams. They're moving. It's really out of necessity this year as compared to last year. These guys are a little bit bigger than last year's class. Jones, I think, would have been the biggest linebacker in Georgia's class last year, if I'm not mistaken. And it won't be this year if they land Chris Cole, who I do think that they could possibly land as well. But overall, good player. Told Chad Simmons as well that the Quay Walker comparisons were there. And, boy, you got to love if you're hearing that. First-round linebacker drafted. I think that's pretty fair to see where they're coming from there. Look,
double fours there.
Yeah, this guy's getting after it, dude. And a good character guy, smart, well-spoken, great support system around him, it seems, as well. So, just a lot to love, I think, about Kris Jones. You're going to get better by having a guy like Kris Jones in your program, regardless of his production on the field. And his production on the field looks to be really, really strong as well.
Welcome in, Jake Rowe. I can't help but see the Trayvon Walker comparison every time he does anything now, man. That's pretty terrifying if you're on offense.
It's that 44, man. It's that number 44 he's wearing now. One of the things that
your mic is toast, Jake.
Oh, is it?
Well,
you sound like the dialogue in a Christopher Nolan film.
Is this better?
There you go.
Yeah, there we go.
Yes, Jake, it helps.
That's way better.
All right. It was your hour here on the Georgia show tonight, everybody. We're just we're working the kinks out.
Yeah, the microphone was like turned straight down. I hadn't like tipped it up towards my face yet, but it's that number. I think the Trayvon Walker thing, but you can tell one of the things that I feel like I can see as far as him as a runner when you got to see his gait a little bit is he runs like a running back. Like you can tell he's got there's a choppy step deal there. Doesn't get his knees too high. That kind of plays into his like change of direction. Roquan kind of ran like that a little bit too. And, I just like the fact that he lines up on the edge and he can get an offensive lineman's hands down and can kind of rush the passer in that way because, that's something that Georgia really loves for its inside linebackers to be able to do is to kind of run through blocks on the way to the quarterback when they're asked to blitz. And this guy's an inside linebacker all the way. I don't want anybody to get any kind of, inkling that I'm trying to say he's an edge player. He lines up out there and he can do those things, but Georgia asked that of its linebackers and he fits right in, man. I think he fits right in with this class and right in with some really talented players that Georgia's gotten in this class.
That gives me some, I was going to say that gives me some Jalen Walker vibes.
Exactly where I was going.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about he's an ILB all the way, but if called upon or if compelled into service, he could probably serve that role.
Yeah. Well, and Jalen played outside linebacker during his senior season. I went back to watch that tape after I watched Chris's right here because I was kind of thinking that same comparison. Just it's a lot of the same names that we mentioned with Justin Williams. The Quay Walkers, the Jalen Walkers, those bigger linebackers, and like you said, Roos, that's characteristic of this class so far. You're not getting a small 6-foot type guy that's going to run across the field. You're getting somebody that's a little bit bigger, a little bit more bruising, and we see it here coming off the edge. Somebody that's essentially playing a defensive end edge type player role, but has the inside linebacker capability too.
Violence. This kid's all about violence. And, that's what he should be.
The huddle tape. I don't know who's editing the huddle videos now, but I'm just going to call him Big Dawg because every highlight that pops up, there's like a little animation that says Big Dawg Status. Cracks me up.
No, not that one. Hype.
Hype. He's nothing. He's way more than just hype, man. It just blows me away how
he's the young Metro of huddle tapes, man. I mean, he's there.
It is. There's the Big Dawg Status.
Yeah.
We should have known. I mean, we should have watched this tape after his junior year and known right away that he was bound for Georgia.
Well, it's crazy that so many of these tapes, man, like there's no fall off, there's no drop off with so many of these linebacker prospects that Georgia is getting commitments from. Like they're not slowing down. There's like I'm not seeing like a role player, and they're all big, they're all giants.
I'll say this, man. If Justin Williams is number 1 and this kid's number 10, there's 8 really damn good linebackers between the two because it's just there's not a wide gap. And I'm not saying Charles Powers got it wrong or anything like that. I mean, heck, Charles has got him number 25 at linebacker. I heard, man. And I'm sure Charles has got his reasons. But if you look between those two linebackers, if there are 8 linebackers in the country better than this kid, or 9 better, or 8 between him and Justin Williams, I mean, there's just some good players at the position because. And you kind of feel that a little bit in terms of this inside linebacker class, right? Because
DeMarcus Riddick, Chris Cole,
Sammy Brown,
absolutely,
Joseph Phillips,
yeah.
Another guy.
The Gators stacked up some linebacker talent too.
Another guy that's going to be on that list is Jamonte Waller, right there, just popped up number 7. So another guy Georgia was involved with there for a little bit.
Scroll back up real quick here, Wes. Number two is who?
Sammy.
Okay, Sammy. All right. So Georgia offer. I don't think Miles Graham has the Georgia offer. Chris Cole, Georgia offer. Adarius Hayes, Georgia offer. Jamonte Waller, Georgia offer. Aaron Childs, Georgia offer.
Now we will say this about Waller. Georgia did stop recruiting him.
Yes,
a little bit into it, but
they were involved with all of these guys at one point or another. Is kind of
right.
That's what we're talking about, the depth in this class. Joseph Phillips, a guy
would have took Joseph Phillips a couple months ago.
Kris Jones, Georgia offer clearly. The list goes on and on. So yeah, this gives you a sense. Out of 10 guys, they were involved with 9 of them in the country. So that really speaks to what they're able to do and what they think about this linebacker class. I think overall, it's a top heavy one,
loaded linebacker class.
Yeah.
When's the last time? And Chris Cole, his announcement coming up. When's the last time Georgia was just plucking guys out of Virginia? I'm struggling to remember some top profile guys that they signed out of.
I remember last year they got Joshua Miller. Otherwise, I cannot remember a single guy.
Where was Briscoe from?
State of Virginia. I believe he was from Maryland. Yeah, I believe Jawan Briscoe is from Maryland. Georgia's gotten some guys out of Maryland.
From Maryland.
I can't recall a ton of dudes out of Virginia. They've gone after guys out of Virginia. Josh Sweat was from Virginia. They've recruited dudes. Who was the I guess if you consider DC Virginia, they got MJ Sherman out of Virginia.
Yep.
Who was the corner? Was Tony Grimes a Virginia kid?
He was.
He was.
Yeah. Yep. And they were front and center on that whole deal until he reclassified and
Grayson Lambert played at Virginia.
Well, Leonard Floyd and John Atkins went to prep school.
That's true. SEC record holder Grayson Lambert, we should say.
Yeah, SEC record
holder. NCAA record holder.
He's like Voldemort to South Carolina fans. Don't talk about him.
Be named.
Let's see. Sky High Hicks wants to know who has the most upside out of Cole and Jones. I'm bringing up Cole's footage now.
The two Chris's.
Yeah, Cole's one of those dudes. There aren't many guys in this class that have more upside than that dude.
What's crazy? He was a late bloomer, man.
Yeah, he's so big and long and fast.
Like first of the year.
Yeah.
He was not really on a lot of radars until into last year, early this year. So yeah, he's
Chris Cole gives me some going off the Georgia board a little bit. He gives me some Carlos Dansby vibes. Some old school Auburn, played some safety early in his career.
Yeah, that's digging deep.
I mean, just so big and long and play. I think he'll play ball for a long time, man. Because I mean, you watch what he does on film. I mean, he's coming from 17 yards back on that play right there to go get somebody. He lines up over the slot. He lines up at safety. He lines up on the edge. They ask him to do a lot at the high school level, and I don't know if any of it is, football IQ based. Like, I don't know if there's a ton of reading and reacting and all and keys and all that stuff that they're asking him to do, if they're just saying, hey, you stand back here from a long way and you watch it and you go get it. But either way, he's seeing the game from a lot of different angles where he's playing at the high school level, because they just put him all over the place.
Well, and also self-listed recently at 6'4", 220.
Yeah, sub 4'5" guy too.
Doing it in an elite frame too.
Yeah.
So that's what's scary to me about Chris Cole. You're talking about a guy who may just be scratching the surface of his ability, and doing it just with outstanding size, outstanding speed, just everything you're looking for, man. And
I've got a RPM pick in for Georgia for Cole. I will say this, I haven't heard anything out of the Tennessee visit, but anytime you get a kid, on campus, that late visit might be the last time he visits before he decides, because I do think he wants to make a decision in August. There was some talk out there. I got some questions about this. Maybe it was from some other site reporting that Georgia was pushing kids to commit fast. I haven't heard anything about that, and I dang sure hadn't heard it about a guy like this. I mean, Georgia, I think maybe folks are drawing some conclusions because Georgia's getting guys to commit early. But I mean, listen, man, there's a lot of guys committing to a lot of schools right now, not just Georgia. The summer was a grind, and people want to get their schooling out of the way, their high school seasons out of the way, and let those kind of be front and center. Georgia's not pushing anybody, man. This is a
byproduct of the early signing day to me.
Yeah,
guys don't really have a lot of time postseason anymore. If you're done, maybe you're done around Thanksgiving in most cases. If you're playing for state championships, you're probably playing that late. But for the most part, guys don't have a lot of time to wait between early signing day and right now. They're doing their high school season, and a lot of coaches, you hear it consistently, I think, from the Buford end especially, but I don't think that's unique to them, that they want guys to go ahead and get this done so they can focus on their senior season of high school. And I think that's a good move. I understand it. But, if guys had the opportunity to wait till February again, then they might do that. And also, too, I think that some of it's just guys looking around and saying, wow, they're stacking a lot of cats up, man.
Yep.
I got to get my spot. I got to reserve my spot at the table.
Well, and the May official visit weekend, was that a new addition this year?
I think it was last year as well. I believe last year was the first year you could do that.
Like I said, I don't remember that, but
yeah,
I mean, that certainly factors in the fact that, kids are taking official visits that early.
In fact, I think you could do it. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Justin Rhett took his official visit during G-Day last year.
I think you might be right.
Yeah, and so I think that was the first time, though, that was possible to do that. So it's an accelerated calendar for everybody, given how the NCAA has moved the recruiting calendar around. And coaches want guys to sign during the early signing period, whether they're early enrolling or not. They want to go ahead and get them in, because then they know where we have to focus in the portal, where we got to focus in trying to upturn a gym. I mean, it's a lot of it's how you work your numbers.
And just listening to Kirby Smart talk about the earlier phase of recruiting, he's enjoying it. I mean, I think it makes it easier on these coaches because they can turn some of their attention towards the next class this fall. Obviously, you're gonna keep in contact with all your guys and the guys that you wouldn't mind flipping too. But, if you've got the majority of your class set, you can really focus in on the last few pieces of 2024 and then put a lot of time and effort into getting off to a great start with 2025.